Hey, Kofuzi, your shirt says non-elite. Why are you so fast, man? We're like dying in the back here trying to keep up.
So I have to say that I'm a very lucky guy to have been able to run with and chat with so many amazing and interesting runners over the years. And when it comes to hitting PRs, there's one thing that I feel like everyone pretty much says, that if you are just an average, regular Joe runner like, you and I, you shouldn't focus too much on times, which makes total sense. But, we're still gonna do it, right? So let's get back to my conversation with Kofuzi, who had this just amazing transformation as I laid out in the last video, but not just a physical transformation, because losing weight is not the only reason that he was able to cut like 2 hours off his marathon PR. He did it with a training philosophy that I think makes a lot of sense. So take a listen and let me know if you buy into it.
When you ran your first marathon, what was your time, your first marathon, and what's your PR now?
Yeah, it was like a 4:40 something. There's a lot of 43s in my memory, so I think I'm maybe just remembering things wrong, but I think it was a 4:43. I think it was just under 4:45. I went from couch to marathon in 2010 after several years of not running. And the experience was as bad of an idea as it sounds. I was hurt going into the race, and I was hurt for a long time after the race too. So that's kind of where I started in terms of long distance running. And my current PR is 2:58:36, something like that. So mid 2:58.
So you dropped an hour and 50 minutes?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
How did you do that?
Well, I mean, being healthy and being able to just cover the distance better was a big difference. So when I ran my next marathon, which I think was the 2017 Chicago Marathon, I had been running again for a year, pretty regularly. And so that point I was doing 10-mile races, some 5Ks, and I'd done a couple half marathons at that point. And so I had a little bit more, not only experience with the first marathon, and I think your body remembers kind of all that, but also I just had a little bit more of a buildup than 90 days.
Yeah.
Was it from May to October is when I trained for that first one. So I had a little bit more time than that. And so I think that's where it went. And so the next one was I think I cut almost an hour off my time on the next one, just because I was no longer rushing to get to a marathon start line. I was ready for it and I waited for it, and I got into Chicago. I did a charity bib and I got in that way. And so it was really exciting for it. And then I trained with my running buddy, and we trained together for that first one, or that first one after the first bad one. Yeah.
I'm curious, I know for a long time you were talking a lot about doing Maffetone stuff, low heart rate training. And I know you've also talked about volume as being a big part of how you really improve as a runner. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I think Maffetone, gets a real bad rap. Sometimes deservedly so. Sometimes I think people kind of paint it with too broad a brush. But generally the idea is to spend more time training easy, right? And I think that does two things. One is it lets you train more, right? So one of my favorite mottos is run today so you can run tomorrow. And the other thing is that you don't want to kind of work harder than you need to in a lot of instances. So if I go out for an easy run, I can run it 30 to 45 seconds per minutes per mile faster if I wanted to, but that's not going to necessarily give me any more aerobic benefit, and it might give me even less aerobic benefit than if I just ran it easy. Right? So in terms of what are you really trying to train? If I'm trying to train for a half marathon or a marathon, I'm really trying to train those long distance systems, that aerobic system. And doing a lot of easy training is what really works the aerobic system. If you do that, if I want that vanity number, if I want that good number on Strava, 30 seconds a minute faster isn't going to do me any better. It's just going to make me more tired and less able to do really quality workouts when I actually do want to run faster. And so that's where I depart a little bit from Maffetone, although technically I don't think I do, not to get too much into the specifics, because Maffetone also does have some faster hard efforts. But when I do harder efforts, I want to make sure that that's really quality and that I am working hard on those days. But if I'm still like kind of burnt out from running 3 days of moderate pace in a row before that, then I'm not getting the benefit of the hard workout.
Because you're not working as hard, because you're, right, exactly, that makes sense.
Right, and so like you want to make sure that you're training the different things you want to train intentionally and not undercutting yourself unintentionally. So that's the whole idea with the lower heart rate training. And then the volume is just a matter of like, it's kind of like studying for an exam is how I think about volume. Like if you study a little bit every day, you can do well on the test. You could also try and cram at the last minute too, but that's probably not going to do you all that good. Maybe you'll pass the test, but you're not going to remember a lot, right? So if you really want to learn, you've got to study for a long time. That's how I think about volume, is like if you really want to good at running long distances, being on your feet for 3 or 4 hours or longer, you got to get good at running long distances.
All right, comments now. What an inspiration. Thank you, Michael. That's from Alexander following that last video on Kofuzi's amazing transformation. Josh also weighs in saying, damn son, Kofuzi really did the glow up here. That is so cool and motivating, really is. Michael says, great transformation. It's like a regular dude took a cool pill. Honestly, Kofuzi's had like the most dramatic transformation since, Steve Urkel became Stefan Urkel. Like, dramatic. By the way, that reference actually works on multiple levels because Family Matters was famously set in Chicago, the same city where Kofuzi really discovered his love of running. So a little trivia for you there. All right, 2 more Kofuzi videos coming soon, including his take on running shoes, his favorite running shoe of all time, which actually shocked me because it's really recent. And then the one running shoe that he dislikes so much, he still, even years later, he still can't get over it. So we're going to talk about that soon.